Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Cop Council. How are we all? Hopefully, all of you is having a fantastic Tuesday, wherever we are around the world. Hopefully, everyone is good and well. And welcome back to a match preview show. It has been a while. I think it's been, was it 16 days? I think it might be longer than that. Excuse me, since we've done one. To be fair, because it has been a very, very long time since we've done a match preview show, which, to be fair, again, the last couple of match preview shows, I don't think we would have wanted to go back on, really. Anyway, but again, let me know all if you are in the comments down below. Of course, obviously, it is against the Blue Shite. Of course, Liverpool v Everton. Of course, I was going to say their last derby before they moved away from Goodison Park, but of course they're already halfway there, aren't they? But still, look, it is the run-in now. It is the run-in for the end of the season, of course. Obviously, 9 games to go for Liverpool. Nothing else now in the way, of course, for obviously Premier League glory, hopefully at the end of the season, of course, touch wood. But again, look, it is a huge game tomorrow. And of course, it's kind of a revenge match for, again, what happened at Goodison Park, which, of course, we will get onto in a moment anyway. But again, look, I'm very much excited for the Merseyside derby. And excited to see the Reds back in action as well anyway. But again, get your comments in. And again, if you are new around here, of course, do hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and all that good stuff. Anyway, but big up Doug as well saying, what's up, Con? Bring on the bit of blue shite. Yeah, absolutely. This is going to tell us a lot about the rest of the season. Yeah, 100%. Well, it'll be interesting, won't it? You know, you look at the amount of rest we've had, for what, the last 6 months, we've pretty much been playing every 3 days, pretty much. And obviously now, with there be, of course, being the international break, obviously certain players have gone on and to play international games, like Virgil, Cody, for example, as well. But we've also had, in terms of Liverpool, we've had such a long period off where, again, hopefully now we can just forget about what happened before the international break and obviously come back a refreshed team, especially because you look at, probably if this game was on the weekend, you're probably talking about, Darwin on the bench potentially, because again, the South American lads, Maka as well included in that, Lucho, who again would be traveling back quite late now, obviously with it being midweek. Of course, you're most likely going to think that, again, Maka will most likely start and so on as well. So, and of course, Gravenberch having an entire international break off, obviously due to precaution reasons, mainly. That for me is the massive bonus from from him, having a rest, because he's played so many minutes really, and that's been a big relief really, that he's had a bit of time off, to be fair. But we're going to talk, obviously, we'll talk about the Merseyside derby. We'll talk, of course, injury news as well. Of course, we'll get on to Arne Slot and what he's had to say as well from his press conferences. But I do want to talk and discuss, first of all, not the Merseyside derby, but I want to talk about Xavi Simons. Of course, obviously, you guys, if you've seen on social media, as of today, again, I believe it was Fabrizio Romano. If I can get it on the screen right now, there we go. So it does go on to say that Liverpool are one of the Premier League clubs very informed on Xavi Simons. He could be available for £60 million, and the Premier League is seen as a credible destination. Now, we said this now going back, I'm probably thinking it's got to be a good few months. It's probably towards the end of the summer window, really, with Xavi Simons that we've been discussing about him, because David Ornstein came up with a report suggesting in his conversations with people surrounding Xavi Simons, Liverpool's name consistently got brought up in terms of, again, his next destination from Leipzig, which of course Leipzig bought him in the January window, and now it does look like he's going to be sold on in the summer for profit, really. And when you do look at it, I'm a little bit like, not worried. I'm not worried about the link with Xavi Simons at all, but for me, it doesn't make sense really, because he's one of these players for me, and again, this might just totally be me, but I don't know where his best position is. And I've seen people say that again, Liverpool might use him on the left. Use him kind of as a false 10, really, in kind of that half space in between the left wing and the number 10 position. Some other people have said that he's going to be directly a number 10, a backup for Szoboszlai, really, obviously. But I think other people have also suggested that he's most likely going to be Harvey Elliott's replacement. And for me, if that was to be the case, I personally wouldn't want Xavi Simons. I'd rather keep hold of Harvey Elliott. And of course, we know, just judging from the minutes that Harvey has received this season, it's better to suggest that Arne Slot does not favour Harvey Elliott at all in this Liverpool team. He doesn't trust him enough in certain positions, even though when you look at him, when you look at again, when Harvey has come off of the bench, he's massively impacted games. Again, there's been 1 or 2 Premier League games, obviously away to Paris, as well, where Harvey scored the goal. Again, he's really impacted this season. And you kind of look at it, and again, you go, in certain situations, if he had been in one moment or another moment, would it have affected the game? And I think it would have done 100%. But I do also think it's something that, I don't know, it might just be me, and I want to know your guys' thoughts in the chat. But for me, I wouldn't want to sell Harvey to bring in a Xavi Simons. Now, I'm not saying again Xavi Simons is not a good player, but for me, if that is going to be the case, I would much rather keep hold of Harvey. In my personal opinion, anyway, I think Harvey, again, I just have this feeling if he was to go somewhere else, he'd become a superstar, really. And that's just something like, again, for Liverpool, again, they might sell him and have obviously a buyback clause and sell on clause, and we all know how transfers work under Michael Edwards, Richard Hughes. But it's that same thing of like, I feel like he would be sold to like a Dortmund, for example, and then would end up being an absolute superstar. Kind of like on FM, really, on Football Manager, where like I think even if you buy Harvey in the second season, it'll end up becoming like a world-class midfielder. And that's something I think really I could see easily happening in real life, in terms of, again, Harvey being a superstar elsewhere, and then Liverpool would look like fools in terms of selling him. Kind of what Chelsea was, when they sold Mo Salah and Kevin De Bruyne, really. Again, they look complete fools in selling him anyway. But let me know your guys' thoughts on the Xavi Simons link. But for me, I would be tentative around it, really, because I think, look, Liverpool have that type of profile already at the club, and for me, I wouldn't personally go for it, to be fair. But need to get them back for that 2-2 defeat. Sorry, draw as well. Yeah, it massively felt like a defeat at the time, didn't it? Here it says, what players do you think we'll see resonance in form? Gakpo could come alive again. Yeah, I think Cody will come back. I think the problem is with Cody was he was injured. I think that was pretty evident. The League Cup final, he didn't look himself, did he? And he hasn't looked himself for quite some time. Before that as well, even the PSG game, was never fit, really. And I think, look, maybe obviously the international break he did score against Spain, but again, I didn't watch the game particularly. But again, I heard that he was good. But again, hopefully he will come back into form, because as well, a fully fit and firing Cody Gakpo was Liverpool's second best attacker this season, behind Mo Salah, and that's been evident so far this season. He's clearly been Liverpool's second best attacker, and quite clearly from the PSG game and the Newcastle game. Again, it goes to show that we struggled in creativity up top. But again, that's probably to do with the right back position as well, but also it's to do with the people we have up top as well. Anyway, but big up Red Rebellion as well, if you're doing well, saying we have also been heavily linked with Angelo Stella. Yeah, I would want Angelo Stella at Liverpool. I've spoke about him plenty of times. Perfect backup, really, for Ryan Gravenberch. I think him in the midfield, him potentially alongside, a Maka or Curtis Jones, again, would be really, really good for Liverpool's midfield. He's got like a bruiser Thiago vibe to him, which for me, I think he's absolutely brilliant. And again, to think he's what, £30 million, I think you could get him for out of Stuttgart. I think that'd be an absolute bargain deal, really. But time to run on the pitch if we draw. When we win, Cal, when we win, Everton will have their diving and time wasting antics on the menu, like they had at Goodison. If we can get an early goal, their plan will fail. Yeah, and that's the thing, isn't it? Really, and look, I'm excited. I'm really looking forward to watching Liverpool, because it's been so long since we've seen the Reds, and I think it's something as well where for me, I think it's good in a sense that, and I think even Arne Slot mentioned it today in his press conference when he was speaking about how, again, he's reminded the boys about how bad it was before we went to the international break. And again, to say that like it's been bad because, again, Liverpool are top of the Premier League and so on, but in terms of the performance level, it had dropped, and it had dropped, and it's no easy way of getting around that. And especially this type of game where, again, I don't know if Arsenal are still winning. I will have a look now. Yeah, they're 2-0 up. So now it's down to 9 points. And again, of course, Saka scores when he comes back. But it's now down to 9 points. Liverpool need to, again, counter back with that, really, with a really good performance, especially because, again, Liverpool have got, we're not playing every single, 3 days now. So Liverpool will have, or should have, I should say, plenty in the tank, really. And that's the realistic side of it now, where you look at it, again, Everton now on Wednesday, Fulham then on Sunday. We then got a week then for West Ham at home, Leicester then away. And of course, Liverpool need pretty much, was it 4 wins and a draw? And Liverpool are Premier League champions. And like he said, on a sort of said, like in terms of, again, the performance level from now until the end of the season, we have to show everyone why we're going to go on and win the Premier League and why Liverpool are the best team in England this season. And that's something that, again, he spoke very highly upon in terms of, again, showing now like a really, really good finish now from now until the end of the season and showing why we are the best team in the Premier League. And that's something, again, that for me, that's what I want us to do. And I think everybody else will want us to do as well. Can't wait to see the boys again. I forgive the last few weeks. Just get the league done. Yeah, and that's the thing. Look, Liverpool need 4 wins and a draw. Out of their remaining 9 games, they need 4 wins and a draw, and that can easily be accomplished. I think, again, even if because the thing is, a draw against Everton is not the end of the world, and it's not. But we want to batter the Ev because, again, it's at Anfield. Again, what happened in the Merseyside derby at Goodison, we want to batter the Ev. It's simple as that. First game back after the international break as well. After what happened, again, like Arne Slot lost his first back-to-back game ever in his managerial career. Of course, he'll want to come back and obviously win and dominate the game as well. And I think we know what they'll do. And that's the thing that I kind of look at it and go, for me, Liverpool that night should have won, and we should have won. But we wasn't at our best at all throughout the game. It was very back and forth. It was very bad from Liverpool. Certainly the first half. The second half, it did change. But we become better, as the game went on. And we deserved the win, in my opinion. But we were poor, and we was poor. But that's the thing as well that also makes me confident for this game. And again, it is a Merseyside derby. Of course, things can change. And of course, the form's never really counted in these types of games because, again, Liverpool could be on a 20, like we are now. What are we, 24, 25 game winning streak or, again, unbeaten streak. Again, these types of games, that they are the games the way, like, you can easily mess up if you're not on it from minute 1. And that's where I think we need to be tomorrow. It's just on it from minute 1 to absolutely batter them as well. Anyway, but Cal's gone with a 3-1 Liverpool win. I love that, to be fair. But big up John as well, saying, hey Con, thoughts on our front 3 for tomorrow? Well, I'll get on to that. in a minute. But I do want to quickly talk about the Blue Shite, because I will give credit where it's due. And I do want to talk about Everton, and I want to talk about their form, really, because you look at their form, right, since David Moyes has joined the club, right, and they have been, of course, they're unbeaten since he's joined. I'm not too sure, but even still, since the 15th of January, they've only lost one game since then. And when you look at it, they lost one, and that game was against Aston Villa at home. But since then, they've beaten Tottenham 3-2. They've beaten Brighton 1-0. They've beaten Leicester 4-0. They lost to Bournemouth in the FA Cup, which was the one defeat since then. But even still, they've beaten Palace 2-1. Then they've had a 2-2 draw against Man United that they should have won and didn't. Brentford draw 1-1, Wolves draw 1-1, and West Ham draw 1-1. And when you look at that, and you go, Jesus Christ, but that's the effect that David Moyes has had on this Everton team, and he's done a very good job. And they have become better than what they was under Sean Dyche. That's plain and simple to see, really. But I look at it and go, you look at David Moyes' record at Anfield, and it's poor. I don't think he's never won at Anfield. As a manager, I think, if I'm not mistaken, he's never won at Anfield as a manager. So, again, hopefully that stays the same, really. But still, again, you have to give them credit because they have been decent. But I do think it's something, again, our performance has to be up there, because if it's not, we're going to end up drawing or end up losing, which, again, that would be catastrophic, really. But for me, we have to be on it from minute one as well. But you have to give them credit as well. He's actually got their strikers firing. The fact that you look at David Moyes' time at West Ham, he signs a ridiculous amount of strikers, and not consistently relied on Antonio really to be the guy for them. But you look at their season. And looking at the top goal scorers, again, Beto 6 goals, but again, I think that's since he's joined. I think in David Moyes, Beto's been firing as well. But again, if they were to get I always say a proper striker, again, the way David Moyes sets up his teams, again, could very well push Everton to mid-table, if not more. But that's something, again, where Everton have been poor at in terms of getting, the striker, probably ever since Lukaku, really, because even looking at it now, Beto's on 6 goals in the Premier League, but then next down is Calvert-Lewin on 3. That's not good, really. But I think, if David Moyes is given the right backing, I think the Ev will be mid-table-ish next season, for sure. Because even looking at it now, what are they? They are... Where are they in the league? They're 15th in the league, and they're on the same level of points as Spurs, really. So even again, look, if they were to win tomorrow, which they're not going to, but they would go above Man United up into 13th, really. So they're already around there, but I think they would be pushing maybe where Brentford are right now, in terms of, again, just pushing into the top 10. Probably anyway, but here it says, do you think Trent is creeping out the back door? Is this as big as Sol Campbell? I don't think he'll play for Liverpool again this season. I think it's going to be very much because this is the thing, right? At the end of the excuse me, at the end of the season, Liverpool should win the Premier League, and we should, touch wood. But it's also that sense of there's going to be a trophy, trophy lifting at Anfield, at the end of the season, the last game against Palace. And I look at that and go, in previous seasons, we've done a guard of honor for the players that have left. We did it for Naby, we did it for Thiago, Bobby. We've done it for players that have gone. And even, Jurgen last year, you guys know. But for Trent, I don't know if there's going to be the same. Because, again, we realistically have not seen Trent. We've not, no one's spoken to Trent really. There's been no interview, and of course, there's no deal officially done yet. But it just like even watching like if anybody's seen the inside training video, and McAllister's face is like the picture. It's the perfect picture to every Liverpool fan's face in evil. Like really, for me, I think Trent. I think he will stay now as quiet as possible until the end of the season, and I will be interested to see how Anfield does react. Like if the first mention of Trent or anything surrounding Trent, I wonder what the reaction would be inside the crowd. Because I think, of course, on social media you can't. I don't think you can get a real grasp of what people think. I think in the stadium you can, and I wonder whether or not, again, people would react the same way as what has been reacted to online. Really, but here it says, imagine how good Everton would have been if he didn't smoke United's pipe. Yeah, well, again, I don't know whether or not if he would have stayed for so long, but again, I think with Moyes though, like imagine how good. Do you mean how good United would be, or the Ev? Imagine how good how Everton would be. Even United though, like if United had actually backed him, like, all right, they had an aging squad and they had problems. That again, I don't think United fans don't blame Fergie for the problems they've had. Like again, Jurgen Klopp left. And all right, he built the he rebuilt the midfield. He left Arne Slot with a world-class squad that is going to go on and win the Premier League, or a really good squad. Then let's say, because of course it does need adjusting to. But it has world-class players in it. Like Trent, Van Dijk, Ali, Mo. But it's something when you look at it, it's a really good squad, but it needs adding to. But then when you look at Fergie, the squad that he left David Moyes wasn't good. It wasn't, and of course they had just won the league, but it wasn't a squad that could go on for the future and go on and win another Premier League. And that's the problem. And of course, I think even David Moyes has come out and said that United were interested in getting like Gareth Bale. There was talks about bringing back Ronaldo and that. And of course, you can easily come out and say that now to save face. But even still, you look at the double deal they were going to do with Fellaini and Leighton Baines. Like they messed Everton around that much that Everton just went nah. Like again, I think they were going to do a double deal, weren't they, for like 30 million for Fellaini and Leighton Baines. And then because United took forever, they were like, no, we want 30 million just for Fellaini. And yeah, they ended up just signing Fellaini and not Leighton Baines, which again, like I think I can't remember who was the left back. Was it still Patrice Evra at United at the time? But even still, like who knows what would have happened. Anyway, but Redemption's Rebellion says Everton are relegation fodder every season. Next season they will be scraping the lower half of the table again. I don't know. I think if they give the proper investment, maybe. Or if they don't give the proper investment, probably. But I don't know. Be intrigued to see what they do. But also taking that into consideration, are United and Spurs going to be as low as what they are right now next season? Probably not. But who knows? We haven't beaten Ev since 2023. Let's turn it around. Yeah, absolutely. And hopefully that'll be tomorrow. But Trent is the only player out of the three that did not say anything about wanting to stay at Liverpool. And yeah, I would agree. That's been the talking point, I think, for the biggest period of time. Is Virgil's been very vocal in wanting to stay, Mo the same, and Trent's not said a word at all. And what when we did the interview with James Pierce, didn't we? But if what is true that come out, I think it was in Marca or come out of some Spanish newspaper, if it's true that Madrid have been in contact with Trent for 2 years and have told him to, wait and, let his contract run down, and if it's even halfly true, if Liverpool have offered him, ridiculous amount of money, and he's going to take less at Madrid, then that's clear what he's wanted since the start, really. And he's kind of played Liverpool as a fool, really, because I think because again, rival fans have had their thought process, haven't they? And they've had their conversation around it where they're like, oh, Trent shouldn't, like, Liverpool fans shouldn't feel this way towards Trent because, again, he came in the academy and he came in, he's done everything at Liverpool. He's won the Premier League. He's won the Champions League. He'll go on to win another Premier League at the end of the season. He's done everything at the club, and maybe he wants a refresh. And I think that part of it, fine. But it's the way he's done it. It's the way that, I don't know, like, again, like, people go, oh, is Trent a Liverpool legend? And for me, now, he wouldn't be, because of the actions he's done. And the way that he's, like, taken himself and gone, like he could have said to Liverpool a year ago, like, oh, I want to go and join Real Madrid. Liverpool would have thought, I think Liverpool would have thought about selling him. If they had said, like, oh, if he had said, like, I'm going to go and leave and join Real Madrid, I think Liverpool would have sold him last summer. Absolutely, I think Liverpool would have done. But then people then would be on the back of Arne Slot going, oh, well, why have you sold Trent Alexander-Arnold where, this, that, and the other? But if he had been franked with, from the start, again, who knows what would have happened. But I really, really would be intrigued to know if any of the stuff that came out last week was true. Because if it's true as well that he was speaking to Madrid in the I think it was the December of 23, again, he wouldn't have known Jurgen Klopp was leaving then either. So he was speaking to Real Madrid, already thinking about going while Jurgen Klopp was still at the football club. Again, that's the same guy who gave him the vice captaincy. Realistically, should never have been vice captain at Liverpool because, again, other players probably deserved it more. Mo Salah, Ali, Robbo probably as well in terms of a captain. And instead, Jurgen Klopp gave it to Trent and give him really the reins to be the next Liverpool captain. And Trent has thrown that back, really, in my opinion, in Jurgen Klopp's face. And of course, Jurgen's still not here. But again, the meaning of it, for me, he's done that. Because if that's true, that, again, he's been speaking to Madrid since late 2023, that was while Jurgen Klopp was still at the football club. And that, for me, is the big problem I have personally towards it, if it is true. But again, that's just Trent talk. I think a fee for him would have been fair, like this is a robbery. Yeah, well, again, Liverpool are most likely going to get a fee for Trent at some point because of that mini transfer window that's open in June. So most likely Liverpool are going to get, like, what, 5-10 million for Trent, which I guess is better than nothing, but even still, it's not great either way, is it? To be fair, but Madrid did the same with Mbappe. I reckon Trent's move was planned for at least 2 years. Yeah, I would absolutely agree, and I also do agree. I think it was premeditated. I do think it was thought out and processed, because this is what Real Madrid are doing. Real Madrid have learned, really, in terms of, instead of spending 120 million on, like, a Eden Hazard, for example, why not get him for free? Same with Mbappe. Again, they were more than happy to wait it out. I think they even said to Mbappe, only sign this amount of deal and we'll come back in for you. And I think even now, like, you look at, you look at players around Europe, and you could look at, I'm looking at Arsenal, for example, and looking at William Saliba, and even ourselves with Kanate. Now if Trent's already going, what's to say Ibou's not going to go in a year's time? Because he's out of contract in a year's time. And again, Liverpool need to wrap his contract up. We're already worrying about Van Dijk and Salah, but we've got to think about Ibou as well, because what's to say that Madrid might not go, oh yeah, we'll come back in for you. And then they'll end up getting both Ibou and Trent on a free transfer. Like, that would be a nightmare if that was to happen as well. But yeah, I think every way, to be fair, I think every club needs to start thinking about it a lot more. But they sign all the big players on frees. Mbappe did get a massive signing on. Yeah, exactly. It's not free. Like again, the whole free phase is it's not true. It's very much like you say, but something like 130 million signing fee. Like again, that's not free, is it? But what if Trent struggles? Like direct fault for loss. Where does he go then? Well, it won't be back at Liverpool. Maybe he pulls no win. Well, that's the thing. Like the thing is, he hasn't. And this is the thing where I feel like as Liverpool supporters, we've not protected Trent really, because Trent has been like the best right back in the world for the last 6 years, 5 years. Of course, people will have a go at his defending and so on, but I look at it and go, like Trent has changed the way we look at fullbacks, so and he has, the way he's done it, under Jurgen Klopp and now under Arne Slot. Again, he's been generational to that position, because again, we didn't think a fullback could get nearly 20 assists in a season, and so on as well, and deliver the balls like he does, and does other things for the team, and has dragged us through certain phases. And I look at that and go, look, again, could a fullback back even 20 years ago do that? No, we didn't see that type of thing, really, or definitely a right back in the Premier League. We never saw that. And I look at it and go, he's changed the position where now you get players now that will play there or look to play there now. But for me, even if and I'll say this, if Trent still goes to Madrid, he's still the best right back in world football for me, and he is, and that's the kind of angry point of it as well. It's like, and it would be, it's like Steven Gerrard going to Real Madrid for Liverpool. Like if this was 15, 20 years ago, when Stevie G, was in his prime or wherever, if he was going to leave Liverpool now for a free, that's how it feels, because Liverpool have got world-class talent. Like I said, Ali, Virgil, I think Ibu has the potential. Trent, I think Maka is world-class for me, and Mo Salah. But again, that's our own fault, to be fair, for letting Mo, Virgil, and Trent's contracts run down. But I think for me, he's now ruined his legacy at Liverpool in some way. What he's done on the pitch, yeah, you can't falter. But I think it's just the other things, really. Because I think, again, some people have said they can't class Trent as a Liverpool legend, and I kind of agree, really, for where they go from it, really. But that would have been way worse. Yeah, exactly. But you get what I mean. Many players who left us, their careers went down the toilet. Yeah, they have. Name me a player in the last 20 years that has left Liverpool and they've been better off because of it. The only player on the top of my head right now that I can, or two players really, that I can think that's left Liverpool and had a better career is Luis Suarez when he went from Liverpool to Barca. And I'd only say Fernando Torres because he won the Champions League at Chelsea. He did go on to win the Champions League. I don't know whether or not he won a Premier League while he was at Chelsea. I'm not too sure, but I definitely know he won a Champions League, and that's the only other reason why I would suggest that. You could possibly say Sterling as well, but I think obviously Liverpool and City fighting for so long together. Obviously, I know Raheem Sterling's got the Premier Leagues to show for it, but even still, like. Again, Sterling left literally on the fringe point of Liverpool changing their luck, really. Of course, when Jurgen Klopp joined. Anyway, but going back onto the preview, then let me go swiftly back onto the preview. Of course, let's talk about injury news. Of course, Arne Slot did confirm that, of course, in terms of injury news, of course, we do have a bit of it. Ali is fine. Obviously, he did suffer a concussion for Brazil, but again, he did come back straight away, and supposedly he's all good. Of course, did train today. Ryan Gravenberch, completely fine. Of course, it was just precaution for Gravenberch, which again, thank God. And of course, we talk about that, but Connor Bradley is the one there is the question mark, really. Of course, Arne Slot did confirm. Of course, he is in. He has been in a couple of sessions, but it's that sense of, once again, is a couple of sessions enough for him to start? I'm not too sure, really. And I'd be really intrigued. Excuse me, as I got bloody hiccups. I'd be really intrigued whether or not he'll be on the bench. For me, I've kind of looked at it and gone, like, if he's fit enough, he should start, because we've seen the Carabao Cup final. We've seen how he wasn't great with Konza at right back. And I think that's something as well that maybe Arne Slot might have looked at and gone, yeah, maybe we need to experiment a little bit, but they're just until Conor Bradley is back. Because like we said, look, for me, I look at it and go, oh, look, Liverpool, again, we could experiment and put, obviously, Tom Szoboszlai right back. We could put Curtis Jones there, but is he going to go safe again and maybe put Joel Konza there? And of course, it didn't work against Newcastle. It completely failed against Newcastle. And again, that's something as well that Everton might try and exploit. But I don't know. For me personally, if Conor Bradley, again, even if we're going to start him, if Liverpool can start him, give him 60 minutes, then take him off. Hopefully Liverpool are winning by then. Look, I would 100% do that. But again, it will be interesting. Of course, he didn't completely rule him out for the Everton game, but again, it was probably a sign of it might be a bit too early for him, really. But again, we'll have to wait and see for it. But of course, get your starting 11s in anyway, chat, because that is what I've gone for tomorrow. Now, somebody did ask earlier, I think it was John, who asked about front threes. For me, that's the front three I'd go for tomorrow. I think Arne Slot spoke very highly of Chiesa today, which was a bit weird, to be fair, considering he's been missing for the half of the season. And for me, I think Chiesa starts tomorrow against the Ev. I think if you look at the training video, of course, a lot of people have said obviously they're shooting positions and so on as well. Of course, that's just natural anyway. But I do think Arne Slot will go with Chiesa just purely because, again, he does not rate Luis Diaz in the 9, and he does not rate Darwin Núñez. And again, that's been very prominent because of, again, the last 2 games that we played. Both of them did not turn up. When called upon, even in the Carabao Cup final, when we had everybody on, when we had every attacker on, Darwin Núñez was nowhere near it, really. And of course, Chiesa and Harvey Elliott were the ones that created and did something in that game. And I think with Federico Chiesa, I want him to be given more of an opportunity, because what we are seeing of him, again, has been very, very good, this season. When we've seen him, we've seen him in the FA Cup, yes, against, Plymouth, it was awful, and it was awful. But again, with the first team, again, allow him, to play alongside Mo or Gakpo. For me, that's probably, the best 3 at the minute that we can line up, because again, Lucho was a 1 goal and so on. Obviously, Jota as well. It's not great. I didn't even consider Diogo Jota, really, even though he's fit. But for me, I'd go Federico Chiesa against the Ev. And then, yeah, of course, you can change it out then. Of course, you can go Lucho, Darwin, Jota, whoever. But for me, that would be the front 3 for tomorrow. So it'd be Ali, Bradley, Conor Bradley, Ibu, Virgil, Robbo, Grav, Maka, Szoboszlai, Salah, Chiesa, and Cody Gakpo. That would be my starting 11 for tomorrow. But let me, of course, get your thoughts in anyway. Hero says, anyone from the youth teams that make the step up this summer? Well, I think Rio and Guma will slowly be brought back into the team again. Trainioni. I know there's a youngster at the minute that Liverpool might end up losing. I forgot his name, but supposedly he's meant to be a talent as well. I've seen one game of his and I thought he was quite good. But I can't think of his name. What is his name? It's completely gone out of my head, so I will quickly search her up if I can. But even still, like there might be one or two youngsters that we don't know about yet that will go through the academy anyway. But Red Billion says we will have youngsters around the first team squad like every season. Clubs are registered and returning to a squad 25. We submitted a list of 61 academy and under 21 players to the Premier League, which we could use. There we go. But big up James as well, saying Arsenal 9 points behind now. God forbid Everton beat us, and Arsenal beat them in a few days later. It's 6 points, not over yet, in my opinion. It's not over yet, but again, I think we'll beat Everton for sure. Because I think the Ev game against Arsenal, I think it's 12:30, isn't it, on Saturday, which again they've complained about. There's no limit to how many under 21s in the squad. I know they don't all make it, but our model is to promote from within. That's true. But I think we will. I think again there is really good youngsters in Liverpool's academy. Again, you look at Liverpool's squad and look at how we, the players we have brought up. Really, not many have, gone on to hit the ground running. I think you look at, certainly within the first team squad now. You think of. Obviously Tyler Morton, you think of obviously Curtis Jones, Trent, obviously they're the ones that are currently in the first team or within the first team squad. But you look at the fringe players as well, even now, your Rio Ngumas. I think obviously Ben Doak will be an interesting one as well. But Trainioni, Owen Beck as well will be an interesting one in the summer. Whether or not again we end up selling him or loaning him, I think we'll do another loan. Really, because I think Liverpool's plan is certainly for Owen Beck might be to bring in a new number one left back, have him learn for a season under Robbo, maybe let Robbo go then, and then obviously have Owen Beck then as backup to what will hopefully be Milos Kirkes potentially as well. But we have more than enough homegrown players. Yeah, we do 100% as well. But look, there'll be new players that will break through. That again will just quickly cause the eye. For me, I'm really excited about Rio Nguma. I think that the plan is for Liverpool is to slowly bed him in, and it might even take 2 seasons really to really get him into the team. But I think from what we've seen so far, he's really, really talented. But again, it's just keeping them level-headed and keeping them really, just down to earth really. Because again, it's so easy to, I think, again, bring them into the team and they automatically lose their heads because they think, oh, I'm already involved. I'm 16 and I'm already learning and I'm already in the first team and this, that, and the other. And that could easily, be a bad thing for a player. I think one player really that, again, you need to look at it is somebody like is it Bobby Duncan? For him, he listened to the wrong people that really suffocated his career. Really. He went to live. Obviously broke through in the titles season really in 1920. A lot of people was showing really good positive things about him in the academy, and then he his head got too big for him really, and of course listened to the wrong people instead of listening to the right people that were advising him. Again, you're going to get your chance, but slowly. And again, he wanted it here and there, kind of demanding Liverpool to be a first team player. And of course, under Jurgen Klopp, you're never going to do that. And again, we let him go to Fiorentina. I think we ended up letting him go. He went to Fiorentina, did the kind of same thing there. And then, I think even then the relationship broke down there. And I think even now he's a free agent. To be fair, I think now he's starting to listen to the right people, which hopefully he can get his career back in the right, trajectory. But still, again, that's what listening to the wrong type of people for a footballer's career can be, career ending really. And that is a shame. That is a real shame for some players as well, because they could go on and do amazing things. To be fair, anyway. But score prediction for me, for the game anyway. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go 3-1 Liverpool. That's gonna be my prediction for the game. Even though Everton don't really concede, I think for what? Actually, no, I'm not. I'm gonna go 2-0 Liverpool. That's my prediction for the game. I think I'm gonna go 2-0. And we'll keep a clean sheet, and I think it'll be a scruffy game, but I think we will win 2-0 anyway. But Repo says the cups are where the youngsters play, get a chance to shine. We will probably see the likes of Dan's, Trey, and Rio play more cup games next season. Yeah, absolutely, 100%. I think they'll also be involved in first team. Like, I think Jaden Dan's this season's been a bit unlucky with his back injury. Like, again, he's played, I think it's 17 minutes for Sunderland, which, again, that move in January was a very optimistic one, really, because I think Sunderland thought he could add to their promotion charge. And Liverpool thought, again, going to a top team in the Championship, again, he can learn tremendously there. And of course, sadly, it hasn't worked out because of the injuries. Anyway, but you're going, got to be a 4-5-0 game. Show him we're all back. Well, hopefully it is that, to be fair. Hopefully we do end up battering 6-0 or something like that. Where's Ozan when you need a really crazy score prediction? Anyway, but look, that's for me anyway. I think 2-0 I'm going to go for. I think it'd be a scruffy game, but still, seeing the Reds back tomorrow, hopefully to winning ways, again, will be a really, really good sign anyway. But look, I'm going to leave it there for tonight, guys. Big thank you to everyone for tuning in to tonight's show. Of course, we'll be back tomorrow with a post-match reaction for you guys, of course. And that'll be straight after the footy. So make sure you are staying tuned to that anyway. But until next time, that is going to be it from me. I've been calling out from the COP Council. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Ta-ra.